Today we're going through Valerie Burton's Let Go of Mental Exhaustion, Why We Are Consumed by Guilt, Self-Blame, and Shame. This book explores the sources, manifestations, and coping strategies for guilt, teaching us how to change our mindset to overcome mental exhaustion. Guilt is a common emotion in life, experienced by nearly everyone. Mentioning guilt in speeches, coaching sessions, and daily conversations often elicits heavy sighs. Studies show that we feel guilty about various things, such as exercise habits, past choices, eating habits, financial habits, spiritual habits, self-care, productivity, parenting, unmet expectations, work, and more. Guilt often robs you of power, affecting your choices and decisions. As a life coach, I tell myself I don't have the right not to know an answer to a problem. I also feel I've lost the right to be ambitious. Even though I know my goals have a purpose, I still find myself questioning late at night whether these goals are selfless enough. Guilt is information. It's your conscience trying to alert you that you might have harmed someone or done something wrong. Your task is to accurately interpret this guilt signal to respond appropriately. Misinterpreting guilt leads to harmful responses that backfire. Guilt implies you owe something and must give up something. When you feel guilty, the price you pay influences your decisions. Guilt is an opportunity to change or accept something. The most powerful aspect is that guilt offers a chance to change or accept something. Whether you change or accept it is up to you. Don't let guilt dictate your decisions. Consciously choose how to respond. Guilt can stem from doing something wrong or causing harm, or from feeling you haven't done enough or have more than others. You might feel guilty for thinking your actions hurt someone, even if they didn't. Guilt can arise from believing you haven't done enough or from feeling fortunate while others suffer. Guilt may manifest as high self-expectations or excessive responsibility for others. I often feel inadequate, believing I could do better if I tried harder. Recognizing these thoughts allows you to address your guilt consciously. Don't ignore guilt. Instead, confront it bravely. Controlling guilt is often harder than controlling actions driven by guilt. Learn to separate your feelings from your actions. Once you recognize these thoughts, you can consciously address your guilt. Don't ignore it. Engage with it. Labeling your guilt creates a buffer between your emotions and your response. Imagine a decision driven by guilt. Now imagine pausing for 5 seconds before making that decision, acknowledging it's driven by guilt, and then taking a deep breath. Create a guilt list, identifying the major things making you feel guilty. When preparing to write your list, ask yourself what kind of guilt led you to read this book. Remember, the purpose of listing guilt isn't to solve problems immediately, but to identify your major guilt sources. Self-coaching is a tool to release guilt. Coaching is a powerful, reflective process that empowers you to achieve goals from your current state. The peeling process addresses guilt through a coaching approach rooted in the connection between thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. First, identify your guilt triggers, situations that make you feel guilty, whether justified or not. Next, examine your thoughts. What do you tell yourself when thinking about this guilt trigger? Your thoughts form a narrative about the situation. Then, replace false thoughts with true ones. For each inaccurate thought, ask what a more accurate thought would be. Finally, list your evidence. To believe in your new narrative, gather evidence to support its accuracy. Monica used the peeling process to uncover the truth and let go of guilt she carried for 20 years. Her guilt trigger was her daughter Jana not meeting her expectations. Monica examined her guilt thoughts and found they didn't reflect reality. She replaced false thoughts with true ones and supported them with evidence. Now, Monica can let go of guilt and see herself as a mother still guiding an adult child. Overcoming true guilt requires enough humility, courage, and honesty. Feeling guilty is a natural ability that aligns our values with actions. We often resist true guilt out of fear because admitting mistakes means facing consequences we want to avoid. Overcoming true guilt involves listening to the message, acting with sincere remorse, making amends, forgiving yourself, and accepting the harmed person's forgiveness. The process includes these steps: admit, assess, apologize, atone, adjust, accept. Guilt can stem from childhood experiences and fear of happiness. Childhood environments and experiences can shape a fear of happiness. The desire and fear of happiness often intertwine, creating guilt. Guilt can lead to foreboding joy, feeling that something bad will happen despite current happiness, stemming from fear of happiness and the unknown. Happiness requires courage, effort, patience, and resilience. The higher your happiness, the more you fear impending disaster. Lowering your happiness slightly can feel safer. Guilt feels safe, shifting your emotions from positive to negative. Guilt can make you feel noble, struggling, and undeserving, providing an excuse to maintain the status quo. Use self-coaching to uncover guilt's roots. Seek wisdom and courage and answer honestly. What fears and obstacles are blocking your desires? Choose discipline over guilt to truly embrace happiness. To be happy, I must choose discipline over guilt. Women often feel more guilt due to relentless demands, higher emotional peaks and valleys, and perfectionism. Society dictates what women should be and how to become that. Women's emotional highs and lows mean greater sensitivity to emotions. Women also pursue perfectionism and are harsh on themselves, especially towards daughters. Women generally experience more guilt, tied to self-criticism habits. Self-criticism often manifests as self-blame. Women are more prone to self-blame. Men naturally lack guilt, less likely to feel guilty about relationships. This aligns with research showing men are less empathetic, with empathy and guilt closely linked. Women focus more on others, making them prone to guilt. Women's complex emotions mean higher emotional peaks and valleys. When happy, women feel intense joy, but negative emotions like guilt also hit harder. Women are more empathetic, better at reading emotions. Perfectionism and unmet expectations fuel guilt. Women's explanatory style often leads to self-blame, making them doubt their ability to overcome obstacles and succeed in future goals. Worry is fear of the future, fearing potential problems. Society places more expectations on women, facing pressures generations before never experienced, like more educational and career opportunities. Cultural influences make women more prone to guilt, encouraged to be kind and maintain relationships. Religious women often find their workplace roles unrecognized. Excessive guilt is a symptom of major depression. Women are twice as likely to suffer from depression, with the average onset age dropping over the past 50 years. Positive emotions lead to success, health, and meaningful opportunities and relationships. Feeling good is genuinely beneficial, while feeling bad and habitual guilt can become patterns, providing a false sense of safety and addiction. You don't need to be a guilt-prone woman, shadowed by false guilt. Choosing to reject this can make you a beacon for women still trapped by unrealistic expectations and values. Values are what we consider important in life. We can articulate impressive values in conversations, but true tests of our values appear in our daily decisions. Values express what you truly believe. When talking to loved ones, putting down your phone and making eye contact shows you value the relationship and their words. When actions conflict with values, guilt arises. If your behavior and words don't align, you must admit your values are lies, causing guilt. Are your stated values truly yours or borrowed? Patricia realized her guilt stemmed from her mother's values, not her own. Her husband helped their daughters in the morning, against her mother's belief that it was the mother's role. After years of guilt, Patricia realized her value was shared parenting. Your values resonate deeply, effortlessly attracting you. They aren't just ideals, but standards for celebrating and measuring success. Values are what you want to be remembered for and what you're willing to sacrifice for. Clarifying guiding principles to evaluate your thoughts is crucial for overcoming guilt. Thoughts trigger reactions, your feelings, words, and actions. Changing thoughts changes reactions, altering guilt. Identifying the values behind thoughts helps. Misaligned thoughts cause false guilt. Replace untrue values with genuine ones. Let go of values causing false guilt and embrace your true values. Owning your values means saying, "This is what I believe, and I live by these beliefs." I understand we have different values, but these are mine. Clarifying and owning values resolves doubts about past choices, as decisions are based on understood values, eliminating the need for self-judgment. Guilt activates the brain's reward center, making it addictive. Emotions like guilt, pride, and shame stimulate neural circuits linked to rewards. Guilt can drive good behavior, motivating people to do the right and moral things. It encourages fairness and kindness. Guilt helps align actions with values, fostering peace. Being true to values builds resilience. Guilt invites responsibility, prompting accountability. Admitting mistakes is the right approach. Guilt can inspire positive change, motivating you to align actions with values. Increased expectations amplify guilt. With more information, we compare ourselves to more benchmarks, becoming sensitive to supposed perfection. This heightens expectations of what life should be. The word should often indicates guilt-driven expectations. Notice when you use should in conversations, as it often signals guilt. No expectations mean no guilt, so resetting expectations quickly reduces guilt. Focus on reassessing expectations. Slow down and scrutinize your expectations. Letting go of guilt requires self-compassion. Consciously reset expectations to reflect desired happiness and purpose. Vague expectations cause guilt because they are immeasurable. For example, you should do more. How much more? What exactly should you do? Without specifics, you never know if you've done enough. Life changes require reevaluating expectations. Whether changing jobs, marital status, finances, health, moving, or any significant life change, maintaining old expectations in new phases breeds guilt. When self-expectations exceed expectations of others, imbalance occurs. For instance, my job often requires travel and weekend speaking engagements, needing quiet prep time at odd hours. While resting, I expect others to work regular hours, feeling unfair. Such thoughts are guilt-laden. One of the most harmful expectations is self-imposed perfectionism, marked by vigilance, comparison, and harsh self-criticism. You berate yourself for imperfections, defensively reacting if others might notice. Expectations are agreements with yourself about what to do or not do, often starting from others' desires. Sometimes others' wants differ from yours or are unfeasible. Worry, especially about disapproval, burdens you with others' expectations to avoid uncomfortable conversations or outright refusals. A guilt pit manipulates you into doing things through induced guilt, affecting your behavior and decisions in favor of the manipulator. The guilt pit isn't a command, but an invitation you can refuse. While there may be threats or consequences, you ultimately choose how to respond rather than being controlled. The guilt pit works only with close relationships. Without genuine emotional connection, no one falls into the guilt pit. Fear of consequences or recognizing the truth in accusations makes the guilt pit effective. Some guilt pits are subtle, existing only in your mind. You imagine someone being upset, seeing you as selfish, or deserving more. Self-induced guilt protects against perceived harm from angering others. Claire dug deeper into her guilt, asking herself, what if others feel uncomfortable? So what? Dismantle the guilt button. Stop doing what you usually do. If you follow someone's lead, stop. If you apologize unnecessarily, stop. If you're spending money, put your wallet away. Label guilt. Acknowledge guilt to slow the process. Tell yourself, I'm starting to feel guilty. Why? Voice your guilt. Guilt thrives in darkness. Speak it out loud. Tell the manipulator, I don't like doing things out of guilt. It makes me resentful. Ask for direct requests. Guilt manipulators often avoid honest conversation. Tell them, I know you want something from me. Please ask directly instead of using guilt. Ask for respect. Acknowledge the importance of their request, but emphasize making wise, meaningful decisions. Tell the manipulator, I understand you think I should do more, but this decision is meaningful to me. Please respect my right to decide. Acknowledge the person's value. Guilt pits often involve close relationships. Let them know, I care about your opinion. I don't want to argue. I dislike disappointing you. I want to meet your expectations, but I can't. Repeat discussions until habits change. Long-standing dynamics may require ongoing communication. If boundaries aren't respected, show consequences, like leaving a room for minor infractions or ending a friendship for severe issues. Practice love and patience. Regardless of the manipulator's behavior, choose your response. Be kind and factual, gentle but direct. Freed from guilt, focus on desired outcomes rather than avoiding the negative. Guilt may knock, but don't let it in. A powerful goal isn't just avoiding something, but declaring what you want. Letting go of guilt isn't enough. Your soul craves more: joy, peace, love. I want the freedom to make decisions reflecting my true values and desires. I want to move towards my ideal life. Acceptance is seeing the truth and acting courageously. Recognize false guilt and stop making decisions based on it. Acceptance means acknowledging mistakes and addressing them through guilt, apology, and reparation. Resistance, the opposite of acceptance, blocks joy, peace, love, and truth. We resist by avoiding honest conversations, pretending facts aren't real, and suppressing values and needs to meet others' expectations. Accepting reality, good or bad, allows you to work through necessary steps and release guilt. Notice when joy is missing. Recognize that guilt has replaced joy. Joy is your natural state, even if you can't remember the last time you felt peace and happiness. Look at carefree children, untouched by guilt, stress, or pain. Accept the past. Acceptance means reconciliation, affecting self-perception. You may wish certain events never happened or conversations could be redone. Accept the past is unchangeable. Embrace humility. Releasing guilt and embracing joy requires humility, counterintuitive as it seems. Before self-forgiveness, acknowledging imperfections is challenging. Trust your ability to meet expectations. Forgive yourself. Forgiveness means canceling debt, no longer seeking retribution or punishment. Release self-blame and anger, stopping self-punishment that blocks good things. Forgiveness releases pain and anger, letting go of revenge and relentless anger. Summarize lessons. Reflect on your most tormenting guilt situations and ask, what's the most important lesson here? Articulating challenges solidifies new or expanded values. Personal experiences teach us more than others' advice. Surround yourself with positive people. Some guilt manipulators are harder to set boundaries with. If boundary setting fails, leave the relationship. Seek healthy friendships with those who don't use guilt and genuinely appreciate you. Do guilt-free, joyful activities. Spend time with people who bring pure joy. Take time to do things you love but have neglected. That's all for today. We hope this book helps you better understand the sources of guilt, self-blame, and shame, and teaches you how to overcome these negative emotions to find inner peace and joy. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time.